Call the meeting of the City Sustainability Commission to order, please. And the first act would be to ask Councilwoman Huffman to please lead us in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have kind of a short agenda today, touching on, did all of you see the email from Zach? And the, let me see if I can find it. We did a roll call. So roll call, Jeff? Here. Don Dotson? Here. Lauren Huffman?
Here.
Here. We're missing Ty Miller. Zach? Here. King and Devin? Here. We did pretty good.
You forgot Fonda.
I turned and Fonda, sorry. I turned my head and everybody showed up here, so thank you. The main three items on the agenda today, which Zach prepared, are the City Department guest speaker, who is Nick Minnick. He's kind of sitting in for Tucker too a little bit, I guess. And the other would be officer selection and discuss the climate action plan items that Zach included. So if everybody would like, let's just start with Nick so he can get done with the business here.
I apologize, I didn't realize I was on the agenda. More of a here as a resource. I am transitioning out of my current role, so I'll be not downstairs, but still a resource, whatever you guys need.
Is that mic on, Nick?
What's that? I don't know.
Okay. Go ahead and say what you want to say, and then we'll move on, so.
And then get out of here.
Okay. Okay. No, I appreciate Sustainability Commission and everything you guys are doing, and I know that it's been a little bit kind of frustrating to get a lot moving, but it's also, you know, been hard on our side to have enough staff resources to kind of feed you what you need to have also. So I know Tucker had mentioned some Arbor Day stuff coming up and everything, and we're doing a lot with solar, with water department primarily, but just, you know, as you look at different departments, you know, engineering can be your resource, although stretched a little thin, so let us know what you need.
And of course, one of your focuses in your postgraduate was sustainability, I believe.
Yeah, so I worked on a graduate degree in sustainable urban infrastructure at the University of Colorado in Denver. I try and carry that into a lot of the things we do here at the city, and it's been a struggle. When I was working on the degree, I was working with a cohort that was in different communities throughout Colorado, and we were doing community-wide greenhouse gas inventories. And we did all the legwork, got everything, and we went to meet with the communities before we reported, and the majority of them said, well, we don't care about CO2e very much. Like, that's not really, it doesn't do much for us. But when we talk about therms, we talk about energy use for the whole community, then they really get on board. So one of the key things that I think is a good example of kind of a varied makeup of a sustainability commission is that the community defines what sustainability is. So there's thousands of definitions for sustainability out there, and it's kind of up to this commission to say, what does sustainability mean for the city of LaPorte? What do we value, and what are we doing to make sure that the resources we have now will still be there, whether they be our natural resources or our, you know, businesses, and, you know, still having land that can be lived on even with the businesses. And, you know, there's a lot of different things that sustainability can mean to a community. So I know one of the first things we always did was work to define what sustainability is for a specific organization. So it's maybe something to think about. And yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Nick? I would only say, as a person that's given a lot to the city and a lot of improvements and everything, and probably was a hand in getting this rolling, is there any low-hanging fruit that we're missing? Are there any things that you think we could focus on
Yeah,
going forward?
I've talked to Tucker a few times, and one of the things is we have a really great group here, and it seems counterintuitive, but it's almost like it's harder to get a lot done with the size of group, because you don't get to break up into the different areas of sustainability as much. You know, it's hard to have a group of one talking about trees, or a group of one talking about energy, or a group, you know, but I would, one of the things I've suggested is maybe considering expanding a couple members so that you can work more in subgroups or committees on different areas within sustainable infrastructure. So there's, you know, folks that can focus on green stormwater and how we handle our water and water quality, and there's people that can look at energy and how our buildings are being built and what we're doing, our city facilities, how well they're using energy, and, you know, there's people that can help specifically, because the sustainability kind of grew out of the tree commission. So like, what can we be doing for our urban tree canopy, which is a huge asset and liability for the city. So, you know, losing the tree grant, now it's, you know, how do we take the next step? Is there going to be more money available? What is it going to take? And then, you know, figuring out how to make that happen. I know there's new staff at the street department on the kind of management side. So maybe that's another opportunity too, to have the commission engage for tree work and whatnot. So I think it's great to have MS4 here. That's wonderful. I think that's a big part of what we need to be doing as we develop our infrastructure. I tend to look at green options first, and I don't know that all designers do that. I don't know that a lot of engineers are going to put a pipe in first and then think about, you know, could we do it differently? So I think just having that resource here and everything is really key too, and not to, it's maybe one of the better funding sources in the room for small projects. So.
Well, that's something I know with water resources, with wastewater and water, there is possibility, I guess, for some help.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some of the new arrivals in town can help us fund some things too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I think we've talked a long time about, you know, we can create green infrastructure, but we also need to maintain it. And, you know, where in the city is that function? Different communities do it differently. I think Valpo's park department they have a, you know, horticulture group that takes care of all the pretty stuff. And, you know, is that the right thing for the city of LaPorte? How do we move forward and make sure that we are creating a sustainable infrastructure, but also one we can sustainably afford? So it's really looking at all the aspects of it, so we can, you know, create a stronger community for the long term.
Well, we thank you for your efforts over your career here, because from my perspective as a department head, they've been outstanding. A lot of good stuff, a lot of help that you utilized from you.
You know, there's things like, and I can't do anything without the rest of the team. So like Jerry being on board with solar at the treatment plant is amazing. I mean, the fact that our wastewater treatment plant, you know, nears zero, and, you know, net energy, they're not paying for power. How good is that for our community? Can we do more of that? What does that look like? But I mean, it's getting all the departments on board. I remember working with Tom McLennan, who was just so excited for having the first fully propane-powered fleet in the whole country. And people wondered, well, why would we do propane? Well, propane is, you know, more renewable than others. It's clean, it's a little bit cleaner, all this. But it also, we don't have the fleet that would warrant putting in a CNG station or something like that. And technology wasn't there for electric, and so we were able to use federal funds to build this fleet that, was a greener fleet, that people just weren't doing propane at the time because of whatever reason, but it worked for us. So that's, again, going back to how do you define sustainability, and our community's a little different. A giant CNG station that we got a bunch of trucks pulling up to, it didn't work for us. But a little propane tank actually fit the bill and created a really nice transportation fleet for us.
I think you're here talking about the things and helped us get rolling. We're bringing in the department heads, which I think has been good. I think Jerry did a really good job with his presentation. I think we plan on, as Zach has said, getting the others in here one after the other so we can find out what they perceive as sustainability for their departments in the city, so.
Yeah, and for our department, we implemented a online permitting portal to go paperless, not paperless, just less paper. But our goal is, the more we can engage people, not just in our office, but allow them to engage with us, via submitting permits and everything remotely and doing all that. And when they come in, there's a kiosk that they can fill a permit out instead of having a paper form. And we don't have to transcribe that into the computer and do all that. It saves everyone time, it's more efficient, and we're wasting less paper. So, it's sometimes it's small things when you talk about sustainability of a individual department. Sometimes it's big things. Sometimes it's, like I said, a transport fleet or the street department's equipment, or, there's it can get big, it can be buildings, it can be a lot of things. But it can be the small things, and it can be a mentality of, well, yeah, we don't need to print that. Let's save a little energy, let's save a little paper, and let's do a little better on making sure that we're using less resources and still providing the best service we can. So.
Thank you.
Sure.
For everything you've done, and I wanted to say also, Zach sent us some fine documents today, and my first instinct was to get them printed out from everybody, but I thought, why don't we just ask who needs us to print some of that for you? And so we can get those printed for you if you need it, or if you want to print them yourselves, or if you just want to look at them electronically. So.
Do you have time for another question?
Yeah.
Good.
So when I look at all this, I have, sorry. When I'm looking at the plan, the climate action plan that we have, the other things that we've done, the concerns that come up with the trees, so all of those things, there's a lot of building happening, there's focus on economic development and growth, so all those things intersect with sustainability. I know the city's working on a comprehensive plan that also would sort of interface with what the commission does. So where do you see the points of intersection, where they need to be included? Because we certainly, as the Sustainability Commission, I would think, don't want to be at cross purposes with the overall plans and goals of another plan like the comprehensive plan that's being developed for land use and zoning and those types of things. So how do we make sure we're staying aligned, or how do we contribute to that work so that we're presenting a comprehensive sort of?
In our discussions with the comp plan, I've pushed and encouraged the importance of our Sustainability Commission in that. So in our comp plan, I hope that that you all, as we'll have more public meetings, it'll keep going, please be actively engaged in that, because it is really important. There's certain things we can do, and there's certain things we can't do. I think we've seen that solar has a really good benefit for us. We've seen that as a city. County does not like solar. There's a lot of pushback on solar. So it's looking at, where in our planning document can we allow for kind of that urban fringe area that maybe a field now, but maybe, a responsible place to have solar, and how does our zoning support that, and how does our zoning help to make that happen. I think other ways to kind of, it's a little challenging. We still live in Indiana, so there's certain things we can't do. It's very, very challenging in the state of Indiana to require more restrictive building requirements than the state. There's opportunities to kind of incentivize that potentially. There's, companies out there that will help model a building so it's more efficient. There's companies out there that use that to build cheaper buildings, which isn't necessarily what we're looking for. So it's trying to find those right partners. It's hard to, from a building code standpoint, from a city standpoint, make people do anything more than is allowed by the state in a lot of cases. But that doesn't mean we can't encourage the city council to look at things like, I think there are precedents where if 200 trees are removed, 200 trees need to go back, things like that. We don't have any of those requirements on private property right now. I think we're very respectful of property owners' rights to do what they want, but at some point it does come at the expense of, say, the forest behind Rural King. And that was a sad thing for a lot of people, and I don't think the company really has a long-term plan yet, but they still took all the trees out. So like, those are types of things that I think the Sustainability Commission could potentially look at some different ordinances that other communities have and either incorporate that in the comp plan and the zoning, or even as a standalone document that would be part of our municipal code. So there's a lot of tools. I think being careful where we have limited ability to be overly creative just because it's not encouraged in the state. But that doesn't mean we don't have tools to try and create opportunities to be more sustainable. So, trash. Our trash contract's up end of this year, trying to work some more sustainability into that. I pushed a long time for more of a demand type system where people who only need a small can should only need a small can, and that should be incentivized versus if you need multiple cans, then that's probably going to cost a little more. We don't have it set up right now in our billing department. We don't have it set up with the company to do anything like that, but it's on the horizon. It's up for renewal. So
And the city of Portage just did that.
yeah,
Where they incentivized all the homeowners to cut down on the number of cans and charge them less.
yeah, and we don't see a direct impact from that necessarily immediately, because like Portage, I believe, has their own refuse trucks, so they collect the trash themselves.
I don't know.
We don't. Michigan City does. Michigan City, their sanitation department handles all that. But if we can show over a period of a contract with, say, Waste Management now, if we can show that this program we're using reduces the total amount of tonnage going to the landfill by the community over the 3-year period, then in theory, instead of our trash prices continuing to go up, they can maybe at least, stay steadier than they were, because they're always going to go up. It's just the cost of doing business. So I think there are creative and innovative ways we can look at, how do we get our community. LaPorte County solid waste recycling programs are amazing, and how do we work more with them on the city basis to try and figure out how does that fit into maybe our upcoming trash contract, which it sounds crazy to say because I still having nightmares about the last one. So.
Well, that was a difficult transition, without a doubt. But I know, there's a lot of things in our community demographically that make it difficult for people to manage their trash or their recycling.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reality is, we're a somewhat older community.
Yep.
And as people age, their physical ability to handle, their financial ability to handle is sometimes reduced significantly, and you can't always manage your larger items because you don't have the proper vehicles, or the dumpster program, which is terrific, but is of a short duration and quickly fills up. So I know some steps have been put into place for that, but, like the literal access to some of the services
Yeah.
can be limited in our community. So how do we
And I-
work those types of things into something the commission might be doing?
And I think that's a perfect segue into what you were talking about too, with meeting the different departments. So, Ian Eldridge is now acting superintendent for the street department. Ian's soaking it all in and trying to get some new ideas on how to do things. Our street department right now is primarily funded through local road and street, MVH, and then MVH restricted can pay for very, very few certain things, and then they have a very small levy on our general fund. So they're not generating any revenue. They're taking tax dollars and they're putting it into the streets, and they're paying people to do the work. There may be an opportunity to generate revenue by having, large pickup service in addition. Or right now, there's no fee to pick up a big pile of yard waste or something like that. So looking at those fees might provide a service that at a reasonable cost is competitive with, say, Waste Management will come pick up the couch, but what's it gonna cost?
Right.
And
That's
it
a
might
really
be
great
that-
idea, because I needed a couch picked up, and I
Yeah.
think it was $125, $150. I gave it away, somebody came and got it, but that's actually a really good idea.
Well, and it's looking at where does each department, when we look at a sustainable department within the city, we have to be realistic about not just how much paper they're using, or, what, do they turn the lights off at the end of the day? That's energy, that's the environment portion of it. We really have to look at the financial side of it. So right now, I think we're working towards transitioning kind of building department back into code. It used to be in code. This is something probably the mayor should be sharing at some point. But with the building department, which generates revenue through building permits, and the code enforcement department, who's perpetually underfunded, but they pull basically just from the general fund and have a small amount of revenue from fines. Well, the combination of those two departments can create a staff that is nimble and can do building inspections and code enforcement inspections, and the combination of building permit fees and fines can potentially be a sustainable source of funding for that department. So we have to look at, we're gonna get less and less tax revenue. Senate Bill 1 is gonna, but that doesn't mean we can't be more efficient and have a long-term plan how each department can be sustainable from a revenue standpoint, from a resource usage standpoint, from a personnel standpoint. Having part of having a sustainable functioning city is having a workforce that is growing and developing, and having a workforce that's growing and developing from here too. So we have both ends of the spectrum. So we have people to fill in and backfill as people retire or move on to something else. So cross training and different things like that. We can make a really great sustainable city. We can make an efficient city, and you guys can be part of it. But really, you can. Like, if you think of ideas, and I think I was really excited when Tucker said, you're gonna go kind of department to department, and just having an understanding of each department, and then maybe helping them think of ways that they can do things a little different to be more sustainable is excellent. I think there's a lot of things out there. So I guess the low-hanging fruit is still knowledge, figuring out what everybody needs so that you can really identify, these are small activities that would get us to a, you know, better community.
You say the low-hanging fruit is knowledge, but it's taken a lot of work to get here.
What? Okay. No, I think it's going to be easier to identify small projects that can have a big impact once there's an understanding of what each department is doing and how they're functioning. So, like I said, MS4 has some resources available potentially. I mean, maybe you have to ask Jerry, right? But again, like if they're part of their program is education, and having examples of, you know, quality stormwater management is one, attractive, and two, education. So there's a lot of things that, you know, Deb and I have talked about where we have some overlooked potentials and things like that, having some, you know, signage and things so that people understand like what's happening here with water. What is our water resource about? What is it? So I think those are great small projects that can have a big impact, that, you know, there's students that'll stop and maybe read the sign or at least look at the pictures, and maybe have a better appreciation for the resources we have here. So.
Jerry had mentioned when he came to talk to us about biofuel. Now, I have no background in environmental at all. I'm a criminal justice, so this may be way out in left field, but taking what he said and then taking what you said, is there somewhere on my train of thought here of, I really like the idea of biogas, and we had kind of discussed super briefly about maybe getting with the schools to get their waste. I don't know what can be used as biofuel, but if we're talking about renewing our trash, maybe utilizing the community with a very specific color of what can be used.
Yeah.
And they can put, you know, so that we're taking what can be used as biogas and.
Yeah,
Do you get where I'm going with
I
this?
get it, and I appreciate it. We don't have, we don't have a compostable program outside of the county's solid waste program, right? So the county, you can take your sticks and twigs and leaves and everything to the county, or we take all that, and they compost it, do all that. They take the hazardous materials, but we don't have like an active program where you're taking, you know, food waste and whatnot and actually taking it to be composted for that purpose. I know Jerry's had interest in the past from companies that, you know, like grocery stores have a ton of food waste, and that could be used as feedstock to produce more gas at the plant. It's not always as consistent as people would like to, though. So to build out the infrastructure to do that, we looked at adding that when we did solar to the plant, and the payback was significantly longer than the solar. Do you remember, Ty was involved? It was
over 40 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
that is long.
Yeah.
but then there's a waste to gas plant going in LaPorte County elsewhere, I believe, that is basically, you know, stripping everything out and cleaning it up to where they can put the biogas in the pipeline with the propane to go wherever. So I think there's different opportunities out there for sure, and Jerry's the one that's always, he's on the forefront. But again, having the Sustainability Commission think about, you know, how would we implement a composting program in the city would be a great start. And maybe it's not enough to change the amount of biogas produced at the plant, but it's enough to change people's minds about what they're throwing away and how they're, you know, how they're using their resources. And
Could we maybe start at the schools?
yeah, maybe we should talk to Tucker about that.
Well, you are Tucker today.
I'm going to talk to Tucker about that. No, I think that's a great idea. I don't know what they do with all of their material. I think looking at, maybe there's some other industry too that could potentially have some,
And kids love to compete, maybe make it some sort of, mutually beneficial.
Which school
Yearly
can waste the most food?
Well, I wasn't really going that direction, but
yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know which direction to go with that, but
No one likes broccoli anyway, right?
yeah.
But it's out there. No, but it's out there. Like, there's a thought, like, okay, composting is something that we don't actively do. There are a lot of people in the community that probably do. Well, and there's organizations that do support it already through solid waste and whatnot. How can our sustainability commission, create some type of program to encourage it? And then where does that program go? Does that program go to, a bigger initiative that gets a lot of students excited and what? Or does it go to a initiative that, has a handful of homes in the community, which is something. I mean, everything is something that are, thinking better about how they're handling their waste. And again, the more we're diverting, the less waste leaves the city. Eventually, our numbers go down, and whether it's waste management or whoever, if they haul less off, we, in theory, could pay less. It's not really set up that way yet, but in the long term, it could happen.
Anybody else have other questions for Nick?
One, you had mentioned right at the beginning that, so actually you apologize, there's not always enough staff resources to feed the Sustainability Commission. How do we get those resources?
The IU program that brought us, remember his name? Anybody remember? He's a great guy, local guy, intern. Him.
Ian?
No. Well, so we went through IU and actually had a fellow or an intern for a while. So that's a program that's still out there. We can look at doing something like that. The problem is, we're always stretched so thin. Like, I didn't have the time and resources to properly manage an intern with that skill set. And everything we do is a trade-off in engineering downstairs. So, if we're spending time here, then we can't spend it here. And we are very resource limited. So I don't know, what can you do? Don't turn it off. Yes,
No, I'm
yes,
turning
turn it on.
yeah.
Good ideas, yes.
I don't have any ideas. No. Yeah, I'm just asking for more participation here is I think, where I would like to go with the asking the city department heads or leaders, right, to come and join us. Not just for that 1 week or 1 month that they're gonna talk to us, but like start coming continuously.
And what I think not a lot of, when I first started at the city, which is a long time ago now, I remember having conversations with various department heads. I tried to talk to all of them about what is sustainable infrastructure, what can I be doing as the engineer? And I talked to, police department. I said, well, do you have areas where there's extra crime because there's not enough lighting? Do you have too much, how can we look at our infrastructure and how can that affect what you do? And the chief at the time ignored me. But I mean, it's constant because they have a very focused goal, which is to, maintain law and order in our community. So having them do something like, all right, that department now has a sustainability initiative on top of it. It takes extra effort beyond what they're already stretched doing. So that's where if we can figure out how to support that, it's even better. Is that, and again, like I said, I think maybe having just a couple more commission members might be a good way to do that, to kind of help bolster the number of people who can go meet with the fire chief, or go meet with the police chief, or talk to the park department, and not take your time because you guys have a lot going on anyway. Like, it's just, you can't do it all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I probably just made this the longest Sustainability Commission meeting. I'll back away slowly. More questions?
I think you just mentioned when you first got here, and you said that was a while ago. Indeed it is. So we can't give you a plaque or anything, but we can give you a round of applause for your decade plus, right?
Yeah,
Service.
decade
So,
plus.
yeah, thank you for serving.
Thank you.
I still live here, still part of the community, still want it to be sustainable, so,
And we'll tap you.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
All right, number 2 on the agenda, if I can light it up, Zach, that was our reorganization, I believe,
Number 2 is reorganization.
officer selection. And I'm not familiar with how to do this before. Do we just ask for who wants to serve
I think
as
so.
chair?
You might have
Who
gotten
wants to
nominated.
Be co-chair, who wants to be secretary? So, I've served badly in 2 of those roles, so, secretary, I couldn't read my own writing.
That's why I typed them.
That's right. So does anybody have interest in taking over this chair? Because it's time. I think Zach is a good candidate, but I don't want to
I nominate Zach.
I nominate Zach.
he nominates Zach. So I think there is some interest. That's very good. Either he thought it was a railroad job, might as well get on board. Pardon me? So let's hurry, she says, call for the vote. Well, let's call for the vote of Zach taking over as chair. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. No, I didn't say nay, no. Well, then Zach is the new chair. Thank you. Now, co-chair, probably to serve in this role if Zach is not here.
So I actually propose that we don't have a co-chair, or that the co-chair and secretary are the same position.
For the size of our group, that probably makes sense. So, is anybody willing to take that on? And not railroading and pushing anybody, but it's an important job, but I don't think it's overwhelming, Zach, would you say? So,
No, but I also don't think I do a very good job at it, and I take
Yeah.
notes
Well,
and
we
send
can
them out
always-
like
we
the
always
day
have
before
room.
our meetings.
we always have room to improve, right? So, does anybody interested in engaging in that role? Take notes and help keep the meetings going when Zach can't be here. You want to volunteer somebody, Fonda? No. Somebody else. Or if you want to think about it till the next meeting, but it would be nice to get it lined up.
I could take notes, but they're gonna be minimal. That's my style.
Brief and-
Brief notes.
Brief and brilliant?
No, I just said brief.
I hear a nomination, I think.
You know, I made the mistake, like I looked him in the eyes.
And he gave you that look, like,
Like, well,
you're a veteran of
I have
committees.
access to the tools, so I can do it.
Well, then let's,
Yeah, I nominate Fonda.
thank you, Zach. Do we have to second the nomination? I guess we didn't do that.
I'll second.
Zach seconded, so all those in favor of Fonda as co-chair / secretary, please say aye.
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 Nay? No nays. So thank you, Fonda, for volunteering to do that. Looks like we're set up to go forward. The last agenda item, and congratulations to you both. The last agenda item is discuss climate action plan action items. Zach, would you like to switch seats yet, or you just want to do that next week?
I'll just do that next week.
Okay. And Zach, I believe you're referring to what you've sent out, right? Your chat, your.
Yeah, so last meeting, we had talked about the climate action plan a little bit, and something I've been doing more for work is consulting the robots for things that I don't know about. And so I asked ChatGPT, like, hey, can you give us some action items based on this report? And then I also made it more specific, asking ChatGPT to make those action items specific to LaPorte. So the document that I sent out, or in the email, I attached the climate action plan for everyone to read through. I hope it didn't have my notes on it. If it did, I'm sorry. And the other document was the suggestions from ChatGPT. One of them, one of the sections was just general suggestions, and then the first half was general, and then the second half was for Porte specifically.
I did not chance to fully absorb those because thanks for Zach's note, I remembered that the meeting was today. But I thought that was really good. It distilled things down to a little bit more manageable.
Yeah, and one
So-
thing I made sure to put in my prompt was that it recommended action items that were measurable, right? So we can come with the suggestions to whatever department or to the city council, to have all of the lights within city buildings be LEDs, right? So that is something, somebody can count light bulbs and say, yes, we're at 100% LED lights. It's silly, but it is something that is actionable, measurable, and will save on our carbon footprint.
And I think, from my experience, we did some of that. The city did a pretty exhaustive look at that and did a lot of conversion, but it's something that sometimes things devolve a little bit, and it's probably worth it to relook at it. But I think the city's in pretty good shape there. But I would say, maybe from my recommendation, is you've put these together and they're very good, and maybe everybody hasn't had a chance to absorb them yet, probably. So it would be a good idea to do that before our next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I don't know what tab 2 is. There's almost 15 different sections to review. So it's probably worth us absorbing it and coming back with specific questions about specific sections to discuss. It's 14 pages of just notes.
Yeah, I thought it was really good, and probably will print it out for my will personally, because I like to write on the document itself, so it'll probably tip over the tree problem.
Double-sided.
Double-sided, that's right, okay. But I think they were good. I think that was a real good
Yeah, and
kind of distillation of the big document into something more manageable.
I know as I was reading through the document, it was not specific enough for me, and I don't have enough specific area knowledge to say, oh, we need to do this. So that's what led me to ask the robots.
I did not get that email. I don't think my information has been entered in.
Okay.
I haven't received anything.
I will get your email after this so I can forward it to you. And then I'll get Tucker to change our sustainability group email to include you.
And Don, when we talk,
So I think that was a good thing. I think it's a good bit of homework for us to all look that over and show up ready, willing, and able to follow Zach's leadership here for the next year and plus. Anybody else have anything for the good of the order, or anything else for the meeting tonight?
do we need, just this discussion point, to Nick's point earlier, if we're going to expand a couple members, I assume there's an ordinance that dictates how many members there are, or where they're from. Do we need to ask city council or the mayor to change that if we want to expand?
Really, Annette, I think is,
It would go through council, and Nick Otis can draft amendments. So you just, actually, what Tucker can do, me right now, but Tucker in the future, what he can do is he can print that ordinance, so you all have a copy. You might have seen it way back when. You can take a look at that ordinance and say, yeah, we'd like to change this, this, and this, and then I think there might be somebody on the city council here that could present that at city council.
Nick, we don't need to print it. We can look at it online.
Correct. But if you recycle it when you're done with it. But yeah, I think the way that would be necessary to change the ordinance would be look at the ordinance, make suggestions, work through council representative and city attorney to get that drafted, and then it can be go before the council.
So should we put that on the agenda for next meeting? Just to review the current ordinance?
Sure.
How about maybe before the next meeting?
Yeah, but as an action item at the next meeting to make recommendations, if any changes anyone sees to the ordinance, be good with that for No,
Yes.
next time.
Good idea. Anything else people want to discuss or we need to talk about before we adjourn?
So because we kind of shifted things because of the holidays.
Yes.
I think if we're gonna go back to our normal schedule, which is the fourth Tuesday of every month, there will be a little bit of an extended break between now and the
Oh,
next
yes.
meeting.
Yeah.
So I just want to bring that up as a point. That's when it would be if we were going by our regularly scheduled programming, yes.
Should we move forward?
So I guess,
then?
does anybody have any conflicts that you know of?
I know I won't be able to make it.
Okay.
So I know I wouldn't be able to make it.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm gonna be a
Both
short
shows.
tour of Florida that week.
okay. That's two out of our already small
Small
number of
numbers.
members. Do we want to meet a month or 4 weeks from today, so the second Tuesday?
That is usually, I mean, there'll be another meeting in here in a little bit, so.
Yeah, the BZA comes in here tonight, but they're at 6, right?
Yeah, I'm out of town on the 10th.
17th?
That's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks.
Bring a cake.
Oh, you're
I
a
don't know
week
what I'm
before- you're
doing
a
yet,
week
but I
before
don't want to
me.
be,
We'll
I don't
bring
think
you-
I
I
want to be
was
here.
here on my 40th birthday.
I'll bring you a
Oh, wow,
cupcake.
man.
I'll bring
You kind of
cake,
have
yeah.
to be, though.
I'll be in Maryville for a contractors meeting for stormwater on the 17th, so I would not be available that day.
So 10th seems like the best day so far, as like the number of people who would be able to attend.
Yeah, I can make that one.
So
I can do
February
the
10th, going once, going twice,
10th,
Let's go for the 10th.
sold.
I had to make a motion
Oh,
to
so-
amend
so
the meeting,
Make a motion, amend the meeting date
next
to
meeting
February
to
10th.
February 10th.
Do we have a
same
motion to
time,
do
same
that?
place.
so moved.
So moved. Then
Second.
I'll make the motion to move the meeting to
Okay.
February
second,
10th.
that motion's and seconded. So all in favor of moving the meeting to February 10th, say aye.
Aye.
Nay,
Nay? Is that your birthday?
no, but I can't make it.
Forget
I'm
abstentions.
on the record as a nay, just so you know.
So February's a tough month for you then.
It's good to have dissension, and just as a trick, my years watching this, if you vote to set a meeting in a public meeting, that is your notice. So you don't have to go through, so like,
Okay.
normally you need to give notice that the meeting was changed, but when you do it in the meeting, you're good.
Well, I announce it at council as well,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's double done.
Double done. It's something that, a lot of times it helps when you're trying to
Sure.
keep things moving. So it's good to set it now. Thank you all.
So did we have a vote to make it on the 10th, or is there
You did with one nay.
one nay?
I think the
Okay.
vote passed.
So
The vote did pass.
Vote
And no
passes. The meeting is
abstentions.
the 10th. Thank you all. I'm not even gonna try to close the meeting now. No, we're gonna stay in here. No, is any other business? We're gonna meet on the 10th, and from there, we'll figure the rest of it out.
I will move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion is
Aye.
adjourned. Thank you.